Ask any video game fan what their favourite game-to-movie adaptations are, and they'll probably look at you as if you just suggested filling their grandma's handbag with fire ants. That's because silver screen reworkings of video games have a rightfully terrible reputation, Hollywood consistently failing to translate what we love about a given series into a coherent or entertaining film. But amid the litany of disastrous video game movies, there are a handful that manage to win us over, despite their many crippling flaws. Beshrew our foolish hearts, these are the video game adaptations that the Outside Xtra and Outside Xbox teams cannot help but love. Along the way, beware some spoilers for the following.
A game movie that I absolutely love is 2001's Tomb Raider, and no, that wasn't just because I was like 12 when it came out. In a film that not only involves the Illuminati but also planets aligning, Lara has to deal with Jorah Mormont, aka Ian Glenn, before he turned good and fell in love with Daenerys Targaryen.
We can be partners.
You might try to kill me.
I'm not gonna kill you.
I said you'd try.
And she also has to deal with obvious eye candy Alex West, aka pre-James Bond Daniel Craig. Woo! Now, if he has Bond girls, does this in this case make him a Croft boy? I think there is a case of this, seeing as there's a scene where he's completely naked and the only reason you can't see everything is because there's perfectly aligned furniture. And it's very Austin Powers. In fact, the entire cast is pretty decent. There's a lot of acting prowess in there, including Angelina herself. Because, you know, some people were a bit, because she's not British, but she did a fairly decent British accent. And she was an already Academy Award-winning actress. So to have her in a video game film was amazing. And her actual dad played her dad in the film, which was pretty cool. Also, she was hugely dedicated, following a very strict training regime so that she could do a lot of the actual action. And in fact, she did a lot of her own stunts.
Taking yoga and strength training, weapons training.
I also do all my own stunts. For example, I have to now eat this entire tub of chocolate goodies instead of getting my stunt double to do it. One particular highlight of the film for me is a big set piece in Croft Manor where Lara Croft is just like bungeeing around her room and then like these guys come in and they start having a big gunfight. In fact, now I wonder if that scene was perhaps inspiration for the grappling hook, and one reason why I really love this film in general is just how much it affected the following games. First off was the introduction of her little gang of helpers, because previously Lara had pretty much worked alone, but in the film she had a little collection of nerds helping her, including Red Dwarf's Chris Barry. Then there was Croft Manor. See, in previous iterations, aka in the games, Croft Manor had looked really Tudor, but for the film exterior shots, they chose Hatfield House, which is Jacobean, actually, which is slightly later on, if you little history nerd fact there for you. After the film, all future iterations of Croft Manor were based on that Croft Manor, including in Rise of the Tomb Raider with all the zombies. Even though it's not perfect and has, in my humble opinion, unrightfully got 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, come on guys, it's not Pixels. It's a fun, cheesy action film and it's had a positive influence on future games, which I think is always good. Thumbs up.
You'll have to do better than that.
Okay.
If you played any amount of Street Fighter 2, you probably think it's unfilmable. It's got about 12 different characters who all they do is fight each other and travel around the world. Some of them are magic, 2 of them are the same guy with different heads. How do you make a movie out of that? 1994's Street Fighter is how, and I'm going to start out by saying that whoever cast this movie is a genius. Guile, who, as you probably remember in the game, is an all-American Top Gun cast-off, is played in the movie by the conspicuously Belgian Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I'm going to kick Bison's ass.
I don't think so.
Which instantly transforms this into a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, and I bloody love Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. The plot is paper thin, but that's because no one cares about the plot of Street Fighter. The only things people want to see in a Street Fighter movie are fights, which it has lots of, all of the characters from the game, which it does, even though it doesn't make any sense. It crams the characters in, and they want to see an epic showdown between M. Bison and Guile. And again, M. Bison, just genius casting. So Bison is played by Raul Julia, who is one of my favourite actors of all time. He played Gomez Addams in the Addams Family films, was excellent there, and he's excellent here as Bison, who he plays with a kind of swivel-eyed intensity that only gets more intense as the movie goes on. The best thing about the way that he plays Bison is that it's clear that Bison thinks that what he's doing in creating an army of evil super soldiers is the best thing for humanity.
All I want to do is to create the perfect genetic soldier. Not for power, not for evil, but for good.
It's probably my favourite example of an actor elevating a not very good script. Like, try and imagine anyone else in the world making this next line sound plausible or good.
Keep your own God. In fact, this might be a good time to pray to him. For I beheld Satan, and he fell from heaven like lightning!
Anyway, he's great, Van Damme is great, and the entire movie is just wall-to-wall fan service for an hour and a half. The last shot of the film is all of the characters striking their win poses from Street Fighter 2 for no reason. They're just in a forest or something, and they're all just like, yeah! Just don't play the video game adaptation of this movie. Just the actual game, don't play it.
My pick for movie of a game that isn't terrible or has its flaws but I love quite a lot is the Silent Hill movie that came out like 10 years ago. I believe, even if you hadn't played the original Silent Hill game...
What is this? What's going on here?
You could watch the Silent Hill movie and find it to be an intensely creepy horror movie, even if you struggle to understand it. I think it's frightening. I found it frightening. There's this one bit. It's the bit where Pyramid Head picks up this girl, not even like a bad girl, she doesn't deserve to be punished or anything like that, and rips off her skin like she's a roast chicken and throws it against the church door while everyone watches. It's really nasty, and that is original, authentic, unique nastiness that wasn't in the game that they created for the film. I remember the first time I saw it, and I legit lay in bed awake pretty much all the night afterwards, thinking I could distantly hear the sound of a Silent Hill air raid siren. It takes plenty of liberties with the plot of the game, but it finds its own visual style that looks really nice, and it hits some of the same story beats, some of the key themes. It's got a pyramid head, and it's got the scary nurses, and both of those are essential. You don't get too many stories that are mother-daughter stories in Hollywood, pretty much, and the Silent Hill movie, yeah, it adapted the plot of the game in the main character was an entirely new lady, but it allowed it to make it this fable about motherhood, and it inserted all these themes of motherhood, and I thought that was inventive and worthwhile. Most importantly, crucially, is that Silent Hill has Sean Bean in it. Sean Bean is in Silent Hill, admittedly not in a very big role, but he doesn't die. He is alive right through to the closing credits, and you can't say that about many films. You know, Silent Hill spared Sean Bean, unlike Westeros, unlike Middle-earth. Silent Hill lets Sean Bean go free. So, what was my point again?
Our world has been at peace, but something is coming. I can feel it. Dark forces are upon us.
The Warcraft movie was going to be the video game adaptation to save video game adaptations. It had a big budget, a great director in the shape of Warcraft fan Duncan Jones, who directed sci-fi masterpiece Moon, and it was a video game movie made in a post-Avengers world, so everyone knew that huge, ludicrous fictional universes could be the setting for properly entertaining films. If Ant-Man is allowed to be a thing, then Tauren chieftain Ken Bloodhoof should be allowed to be a thing. That's just fair. But when Warcraft hit cinemas, critics tore the film apart like a pack of angry murlocs, and it quickly became clear that this tale of two warring races, freaky magic mages, and frankly enormous shoulders had as much chance of saving video game movies as Blizzard did of refunding all the personal potential I wasted grinding Reputation with the Kirin Tor. Which is a real shame, because honestly, I just love the movie, and not just because my own shoulders are a constant disappointment. For me, the Warcraft film took the express train to the heart of what Blizzard's world is all about. The central idea that the big, gross orcs with their pointy teeth weren't necessarily the bad guys.
Crossroads did not join the hunt. Prefer our enemies armed with an axe, not a child.
It's a staple of the fantasy genre, but turned on its head, and that conceit was fully developed in World of Warcraft, where players quickly learned that the Barbarous Horde faction aren't mindless, marauding monsters, but races with their own capital cities and cultures and claims on the world of Azeroth. It's just a cool idea, and amazingly, some of that ambiguity managed to make it through the Hollywood ambiguity mangling machine. Okay, you might have to download all of WoWWiki directly to your brain to make even half of it make sense, but just to experience a movie adaptation that stays so relentlessly faithful to its source material is a pretty rare thing. Now, that defiant refusal to modify or streamline that hugely complex chunk of lore is probably why the finished product was called messy, but to me, it's also what makes Warcraft special. That, and again, the shoulders.
2007. Los Angeles. The city has changed. Cops rule the day. Punks rule the night.
Double Dragon the game followed brothers Billy and Jimmy Lee as they dispensed justice, 3 baseball bat hits at a time. At some point during the early 90s, someone decided that this brutal depiction of street violence was perfect fodder for a PG-13 kung fu comedy. It's pretty much the worst video game movie of all time. And I love it. For a start, Billy is played by Bailey from Party of 5.
We don't really have to wear these, do we?
And Jimmy is played by the chairman from Iron Chef. Yeah, that's right, the shouty guy, the one who's trying not to laugh in this trailer for the Iron Chef Wii game. Okay, in the movie, the brothers come into possession of half of a magical amulet, and they're trying to keep it out of the hands of a gang leader called Koga Shuko, who, quite frankly, already seems to have quite enough magical powers. And if he looks to you like the T-1000 from Terminator 2, but with a bleached blonde blowout hairdo and an evil hypnotist beard, that's because that's exactly who it is. Also featured is actress and later pop star Alyssa Milano, who somehow managed to avoid having her career killed stone dead by this film. What follows is 96 glorious minutes of extreme sports, rudimentary CGI and dialogue that is 90% screaming. Can't even blame a Hollywood writer's strike for that one. It's ludicrous, but fun. It's just a bit of a shame that not much from the video game actually makes it into the movie, and what is there has been, let's say, creatively interpreted. Just look at what they did to beloved and misunderstood bad guy, Abobo. I must say, I always suspected steroid abuse. All this from a story by Paul Dini, who would later go on to write the mostly coherent Batman Arkham games. Still, given that the entirety of Double Dragon the game's plot is a woman gets thumped outside a garage, he's arguably done a pretty good job. And yet, cruelly overlooked for the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar.
Look out!
So those were some game to movie adaptations that are actually pretty close to our heart. They're not perfect, but we love them. I'm personally really excited about the new Assassin's Creed film that's coming out. Please be good, please be good, please be good. Let us know in the comments below, what video game movies do you like? Which ones don't you like? Or, I don't know, that might be a dark path to go down. But in the meantime, you can watch other really cool things here. Some videos here, check them out. And we've got loads of stuff on the channel. Go check out our friends outside Xbox, and we will see you next time. Bye.